All right. Welcome back to the Next Level Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ant-Man Z, as always, with my main man, Crash Nash. And today we have the lovely Alyssa with us. Hi, Alyssa.
Hi, guys.
Good. So you guys ready to do playoff football?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's the NFL's first week. We're in wild card weekend of the NFL 2024 season coming to an end here as we enter January 2025. The first game today is the Los Angeles Chargers. Sometimes it's still weird for me to say that considering the team used to be from San Diego, but we got the Los Angeles Chargers against the Houston Texans. That's our first game, our 4:30 game. And then, of course, tonight's game will be the Steelers at the Ravens. And let's go ahead and break down the first game, obviously, first. Both of these teams come in a little unexpectedly from where they were. I don't know if anybody expected Jim Harbaugh, to get to the playoffs in his first year. So that was quite the accomplishment, considering the AFC West is a difficult place to get in when you have the Super Bowl reigning champ, two-time Super Bowl reigning champs, being the top dog in that division, the Kansas City Chiefs. So them getting in is very nice. And then, of course, the AFC South seems to be always up for grabs. And even though CJ Stroud may have regressed a little bit from his rookie season, he has brought them back to the playoffs. So that's our first matchup today. And Crash, I'd like to get your thoughts first on what you just think of the overall arc of this game, and if you like the matchup and who you like in it.
Yeah, hey, this is one of the teams that I actually laid some money on early in the season was Houston. Being an ex-Titans fan, actually at one point in my life I had a trial with the Titans, believe it or not. So this division I know well. Coach Ryan's, let's all face it, a dog. He was a dog as a player, linebacker.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted him to come over. The GM for the Texans had done a wonderful job of bringing him in and him building his staff. Amen. But I'll tell you what, I got some criticism. You know what's coming, right?
On D'Amico Ryan?
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you, it always comes to the head, doesn't the leadership,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
And it's not so much him, it's not what he's getting done or letting happen. And I'll go over that. Offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, I believe it is.
Yep.
Is that how you say that name? And I believe this is where kind of men's intellect stops so far, and it's kind of God's wisdom. Just something I believe that God was showing me. And be the next player. And I don't know, do you have a clip of that? What I was wanting to kind of show, Ant?
Oh, okay. You mean, yeah, we got those formations you wanted to show with
CJ.
Right? Yeah.
I'll let everybody else. Let's get a pause, and I'll see if everybody knows and see what's going on, because I don't believe they know. I believe I got an answer. What's going on here?
You mean that they're not even aware of what they're doing?
I don't believe they do.
Okay, let's go ahead and play that and see what you think.
Fourth quarter. It's 3rd and 10. Stroud's in trouble. He's brought down. No chance to get into that open hole. Stroud, pressure again, loses the ball.
Stop that, will you? Let's right there. Did anybody see that formation?
Oh, you want to pause it right there?
Can we do that?
Absolutely. Let's drag it back to before the play, you're saying?
Yes, sir, please. What? Right there. Stop. Anybody see what's going on here?
My thing that I'm saying is that you have everybody they're in a bunch formation, aren't they? Where all the receivers and the tight ends are pulled into the line of scrimmage up along the tackles. Right.
So now watch this. The backers are already back, but there are times where the linebackers, these teams are putting their linebackers up in the A gaps right over the center, right? Follow me?
Yeah.
CJ doesn't know where the heat's coming from. You can't blame this kid. Neither does the lineman. They don't even know where the pressure of the heat's coming from.
Right.
By the time he gets the ball, he already has somebody in his face. It's a numbers game. So you don't even know if that cornerback, look, if it's stacked in there and they can stack it up, they even have time, the defense does, to fall back. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. So I think what you're saying is too. So when we're looking at this on the screen here, you have your defensive backs. You have one of them back in the secondary, and you have your two safeties back there. But it allows all of the linebackers to crowd around the line of scrimmage, and you don't know if they're dropping into coverage or blitzing for at least the first 2.5 to 3 seconds. Which, if I'm reading what your inside scoop is telling us, it's that CJ is being put in a real disadvantage to read a defense even faster than normal.
You can't do it. Even
Okay.
if you look, now here they have too high safety. They look like they're masking cover 3. This is not really a great example, but there are times where they got single high safety and they got all their defensive backs crunched up to the line. Why? Because because the wide receivers are about a half a yard from each side of the tackle.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So
I know it's just
yeah.
I was
Alyssa,
gonna
what do
say,
you
I know
think?
it's
Tell
just
us.
the Jets, and no, I was gonna say I know it's just the Jets, and they're definitely not one of a winning record team. But I did see that Stroud was like 5-8 against those teams with a winning record. So it will be interesting to see how he comes into play against the Chargers, who do have I think 11 wins or something coming into the game. So just with those better defenses, how is he going to do?
Yeah, that's true too. And I like that you were very opportunistic there to take a stab at your homeland city. She's a New York Giants fan, everybody, just in case you didn't know that. But here she gets a chance to take a stab at the other New Jersey team, the New Jersey Jets.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it
agree
just happened to fall that way, didn't it?
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. I think CJ has faced a lot more scrutiny this year. A lot more film has been out on him. You have all of last season and then all of this season to look at. So maybe some of that rookie magic, so to speak, isn't there. But, he was in the playoffs last year too. Don't forget that. And so he's already tasted what defeat feels like. And he didn't like that. And I think that he has another level to his game that he might be able to bring today. So I hope for their sake that they do choose to spread it out a little bit more because, I think the X factor in this game, in my opinion, is going to be the Joe Mixon and what he's able to do with this game. When Joe Mixon was out of the mix, so to speak, over those couple weeks, the Texans were just a different team. They became a lot more one-dimensional, and it wasn't even so much their lack of a running game, which that obviously existed, but it was their lack of being able to use Joe Mixon as a check down, which is where he's his most dangerous between doing check downs and screen passes. That guy is absolutely deadly. And I know San Diego's got a good defense. They come up matched up very well against the Texans, I think, especially with Tank Dell. God bless what he's going through right now, but he's obviously out. That's a big hurt to them. But I just believe that it's going to come down to Joe Mixon. He's my X factor in this. What do you think?
Oh, okay. Can I go a little bit here real quick?
Yeah,
and
sure.
If you have anything to add, Elisa. So to his account, Nico Collins, I consider him to be the best wide receiver in the league right now. He went out for a while. Then his two top receivers, Diggs, all pro, probably go in the Hall of Fame. He gets out hurt, injury reserve. Tank Bell goes out. Boom, boom. So you already have two that go out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm agreeing with you, man. I love Joe Mixon, even though he was a Bengals guy. I love him, man. I love his running style. So you've got who are you going to throw to? They're going to shade Collins.
Yeah.
My key factor, check this out. The old Ram, the old Tennessee Titan, Robert Woods.
Robert Woods. Okay. I mean,
I think he might do something that he don't even know he can still do.
Well, okay. That'll be interesting to see. As of right now, I believe Dalton Schultz is their number 2 tight end. That's how I've got them on my stat line. So that him being a big tight end coming out of the backfield, being able to line up kind of near center and also even spread out. They've got a few formations with him to be able to do that. I don't know if he's too much of a matchup problem to anyone on the other side of the ball, but he's got good hands, and he always seems to be around a big play when the Texans need it. So he might be a bit of a factor as well, too.
Lissa? Anything to
I was
add?
just going to say, I don't know. Yeah, just I don't feel like the Texans offense is as hot as they were previously or even last year. I thought they were a little bit scarier going into the playoffs than they are now. And maybe I'm slightly biased because I like the DC for LA. I like Jesse Minter, and I feel like his defense is just so good that I don't know how well the Texans are going to do up against them. I feel like he disguises coverage really well that they won't. I don't know if they'll be able to adjust. So yeah, I'm definitely favoring.
You know what? That you make a good point with that too, because think about this. CJ Stroud is what, 0-2 or 0-3 against Jim Harbaugh already. So that is a scheme. You know, Jim Harbaugh is known for his schemes. That's what he does. He has mastermind type schemes. He's a defensive coach,
Ex-quarterback.
And he's an ex-quarterback, right? So he knows exactly what to do. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Crash, I was at, and here I'll give away some age, I was at the 1995 AFC championship game between the Steelers and the Colts that was over there in Pittsburgh. It wasn't it was a divisional game. I apologize for that, but
who was
he played for the Indianapolis Colts, Jim Harbaugh. Yep. And it's one of those plays, if you go look it up, I wish I forgot
that.
Yeah. He threw a touchdown pass on nearly the last play of the game that got dropped in the end zone that he argues to this day was caught. But that's for another story. That's for another story. Today, he's got to get over CJ, and he will not be the one throwing the ball. CJ Stroud will. And even though CJ did not have, like I said, statistically speaking, the same season he had last year, he actually had better stats as a rookie. He still comes in with 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. So he's a good ball control quarterback. And I don't know, but I feel pretty confident in the trio of him and Mixon. And like you said, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, an unsung hero in Nico Collins.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, and I'm with Alyssa on this. Let's go to the defensive side, if we may. The duo, Danielle Hunter and William Anderson Jr. What a dog.
He's a monster. But
oh my God. You know, but those guys combined 24 sacks, which doesn't sound like a lot in the NFL. It is. And
that's a lot. Yeah.
Now, however,
wait, hold on. 25 between the two of them.
I'm pretty sure 24.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. That really is. That means because they both played defensive end, correct? And that means that your edge rushers are each finishing the quarterback, which, like you said, that's hard in today's NFL. It's not just that they put on the pass rush. We're not giving that, but they finished the play by taking him down to the ground, which also counts as a tackle for loss. So that's incredible statistics for the two.
And something that's key is let's keep this in mind. Right tackle for the Chargers is out. And that could be some key advantage also when you got two pass rushers like that to put strain and stress on that right tackle side. And you're coming to his strengths. You're taking away his strength side.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think the Texans defense can be pretty stout. If this comes down to a battle of the line of scrimmage, advantage them on defense for sure. The thing is that I don't know if anyone remembers, but the last couple years, the Chargers have been pretty stout there with Herbert as quarterback. He's a guy that can get the ball out of his hands real quickly. He's good at that. And, under Jim Harbaugh, I think he's taken a step back, not as far as skill, but as far as, in the Bruce Arians adage, no risk it, no biscuit. He's not really risking things too much. He's been a ball control quarterback, which was quite a change for him. And the style seems to have worked out pretty well. I just think that maybe he's able to get the ball out of his hands quick enough to neutralize
Mhm.
that edge rush. Now, here's the thing that most people don't even recognize with Herbert's stats for the year. He's got 3 interceptions on the year. He has 23 touchdowns to
Mhm.
3 interceptions, and that's
Mhm.
extremely underrated. So that can be a potentially big factor as well, too, his ability to get the ball out of his hands and to his receivers.
Just to piggyback off of that, and this is probably where I'm going to lean, is that they're on a 3-game winning streak at their last 3 games coming into this, and in each of those games, they're averaging 34 points a game.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you have
I
to
did
slow
not
them
know
down.
that. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Let me ask you your picks because we should move on to the next game before this one even gets started.
Women first,
Yeah.
ladies
Alyssa,
first.
who do you like in this game and why?
I got to go with Jim and Jesse Minter, and I'm sticking with the Chargers. I do have one quick question, though, too, and shout out to Notre Dame, actually, because Joe Alt is one of their offensive tackles with the Chargers, I believe, the right tackle for them. So I'm going with the Chargers. But, Andy, as a former football player, you think those LA Fires at all are going to affect them? I heard their practice at one point, they were practicing in masks. I think there's no better coach than Jim to keep their focus on the game, but I would think that's got to weigh into you a little bit. I think Bosa was one player who has a house right in the Palisades. Is that noise getting to you at all as a player?
Well, I know it's getting to me. LA was my home for 7 years. You almost got me a little choked up. I lived in LA for 7 years, MacArthur Park, Cabina. So I didn't know you was going to go there, but it kind of got me a little choked up. That, in fact, could bring some emotion and energy into the game. If there's somebody that knows how to fire up a team, good question. You know, we talk so much about the X's and O's about football, don't we? But we forget about the life about football, life in football. And that's a really good question, Alyssa. And I have to believe that it's going to do the counter effect. He's going to have them fired up. Ex-mission guy, he knew how to fire them up. Coming up of a championship, kudos also to him to come right back in the NFL and already taking that leap. They're on a roll. I believe it's going to play into their hands, not out of their hands. Good question.
Yeah, that was a fabulous question. I think I'd agree with that too. I think if you come with any energy, it's not a negative energy, it's a positive energy that adds to your motivation. You know, most people need their why to be able to do something. And right now, if they don't have, if winning a playoff game and getting to the divisional round wasn't enough, then being able to fight and stand on a line for people that you represent, I think means a lot. In fact, I'm getting charged up thinking about it myself, so I can't imagine what they're going through. And God bless, we're about to see a great game. So you're going with the Chargers. You know what? I actually have to jump on your ship with you. I like where the Texans, I like my chances with them, but that energy that you just brought up, that was an unknown X factor that I think seals the deal. And I'm with Alyssa on this one. I think the Chargers win, and I think they win big. I think they win over 14.
14?
Yeah.
Wow.
What you got, Crash?
Drum roll, please. You know what? There's something in my spirit that wants to go, but I can't go with Houston. It's conflicting. And what she just, put out the icing on the cake. There's a lot of different reasons I'm leaning towards the Chargers. It's too many injuries. It's too many stressors on the line of scrimmage. CJ, you can't fix this all in 1 year or the end of the season. They're on a decline. The Chargers and Jim Harbaugh's on the incline. And we're going to go back to this. Alyssa hit the nail on the head. That's going to what sends my choice over the edge. Chargers by 13.
Okay. I like
What'd you say? 10?
I said 14. I said over 14. So
okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a walkaway just based on the emotional charge. If they can carry that through the game, we're going to see something special. All right, let's move on to our next game. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, you already know where I stand on this one. Pittsburgh's my team. I grew up in the city of Pittsburgh. I'm a huge fan of theirs. I know them inside and out. And that's what's kind of scary to me on this one. I
Mm.
know that they've lost 4 in a row coming into this game. They come into the playoffs as literally the coldest team you can get. It's almost like they've been in the ice chest for the past month. And unfortunately for them, I think they're running into what is arguably the hottest team in the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens made a few adjustments. They configured their secondary a little bit differently, and all of a sudden, they've got a defense over the past 5 weeks, and they've been blowing people out of the water. I don't know if anybody has one of those stats, but I bet it's a great disparity with what's going on there. So you have one of the hottest teams at home against one of the coldest teams on the road. But a big X factor, these two teams know each other better than anybody in the NFL. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have owned the Baltimore Ravens for the most part over their last 10 to 12 meetings. It's because Lamar has not really played very well against the Steelers. However, I think he played very well against them a few weeks ago when they played. I think that he methodically took his time and found the open guys and was able to make plays by extending plays with his legs, because Pittsburgh's pass rush is ferocious, but he was able to extend the plays just long enough to find the open guys. And then it was a day of Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers and Bateman just catching everything thrown their way like they were human vacuum machines. If they're able to replicate that again, this could be quick and easy work, especially if the Steelers come out ice cold. However, if Pittsburgh is able to somehow find something new and disrupt him in a new way that prevents him from extending those plays, Pittsburgh does have a chance to win this game. Not a great one, but a chance. Thoughts?
I think it depends. I think it depends too what kind of Russell Wilson we get. Are we getting the beginning of the season Russell Wilson, who's okay with taking some risks and throwing the deep ball? Or are we going to get the scared conservative play calling with what seems like an out of sync, miscommunicating defense as well? Are we going to get just the trying to make the runs? Or are we going to get deep ball throws? And is Pickens going to be able to hold on to the ball as well? Or is he going to be taken off for the end zone before he secures the ball on a catch? Will also be a factor.
Yeah, Russell's been a big question mark over the past couple of weeks. I mean, he's a veteran quarterback. Like you said, when he came in, the Steelers were already at 4-2, thanks to Justin Fields. And Mike Tomlin at that point in the season, if you remember, he was under a lot of scrutiny because it takes a lot of swagger, let's call it, to be able to bench your 4-2 starting quarterback and bring in a guy in Russell Wilson who was, for all intents and purposes, booed out of Denver because Denver was willing to pay 99% of his salary just to get him off the roster, where Pittsburgh picked him up for the league vet minimum. But Mike Tomlin had enough confidence in him to say, this is my guy. This is what we want to do. And at first, I want to say over the first 7 games, he came out 5-1 or 6-1. He came out 6-1 to start. Yeah.
Actually,
and then has finished it now 0-4. So you started 6-1, but let's look at that 6-1 time. You're right. He was getting the ball out of his hands quick. They were taking risks down the field. And for whatever reason, Pittsburgh chose to abandon that and try to get back to their, it's the Pittsburgh Steeler way to be down and dirty and, run the ball on you and be that bigger, stronger team that shows they can bully you around. And even though they want that to be their character, I don't know if they have the personnel in order to do that. And that's backfired on them because the last 4 games have not been pretty. But that being said, they were essentially in every single one of those games until a few boneheaded plays by none other than Mr. Unlimited himself, because not only did he throw some dicey balls down the field, one of them turning into a pick 6, but also his running, his attempts to scramble with the ball in his hand has just been causing fans like me, this is why I have the hat on today, to pull our hair out of our head. It's one thing for, I want to say when he did play against Baltimore last time, he had a 50-yard scramble. The coverage was tight and the pocket broke down, and he saw a lane to go forward, and he took off for almost 50 yards. And as he got closer to that goal line, I think he started seeing the 26-year-old version of himself instead of the 36-year-old version, and thought he could make a move to go for the end zone. But unfortunately, he got creamed. He got absolutely creamed at the 2-yard line and coughed the ball up. And you know what? He hasn't been the same quarterback since. In fact, just last week, just last week, they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, if you remember, but they were given a golden opportunity. They were down 2 points with a minute and a half left and 2 timeouts, if I remember. Maybe it was 1, but either way, you got a minute and a half and you got a veteran quarterback in a 2-minute drill just to get you into field goal range. And by the way, you have Chris Boswell, right now the best kicker in the NFL. So you had a chance to win that game by just getting into field goal range against, may I point out, the hapless Cincinnati Bengals, right? This wasn't some stout defense that's been shutting everybody down all year. This is the Bengals who've been giving up points and yardage all over the place. And what did Russell Wilson do on a 1st and 10, or maybe it was a 2nd and 10? He ran out. Yeah, he ran to the sidelines. He looked like a play where the pocket broke down, and he's making a play out towards the sidelines and looking to extend the play down the field. And for whatever reason, he decided to tuck and run. And this is with 35 seconds left. He does not get out of bounds. He instead puts his shoulder down and nails the safety and gets tackled as if he wanted a collision to make it 3rd and 9 now as the clock's continuing to tick, where they had to waste a timeout.
Yeah.
So if Russell Wilson can't get over wherever his brain went, I hate to say that, over the last month as a Steeler fan, it's like, what? Turn it back on, Russ. If he's able to do that, maybe you got something. If not, this could get ugly.
You ready? Yeah, it's pressing. I let you guys, I took a backseat on this one because I know that you all know so much about the Steelers. In fact, you got to live with him, not me. So I hope it doesn't cause any division there. That's why I stayed out of this
conversation earlier.
I was taking a back seat, if you notice, right? But so like the Steelers were really shocking. And shout out to Justin Fields, by the way, brother. I got you on Facebook, by the way. So anyways, you know what? It sounds pressing. He's pressing. As players of any sport, we never want to say, like when I came out of retirement 2-3 different times, went by Coach Herb's Mass, my mentor that played for the Raiders. I said, Coach, I said, I want to go back. I want to come back and play. He looks at me, he says, how old are you? I said, Coach, I'm 40. He didn't say I couldn't. He said, your body or your spirit, your heart will always tell you you can. He said, but your body will tell you, be the deciding factor. And I say that because, we're seeing that in these veteran players. It's hard to say no. It's hard to leave the gridiron. It really is. Yeah. When all your identity has been that ever since you was a little boy, it's hard to walk away from it. And sometimes you got to have somebody else say, unfortunately, it's time. And I'm not trying to throw stones at him. I'm just saying, look, brother, it's probably time you shut the door, walk away, give it to the new guy. Justin Fields, sometimes it can light a fire and spark, something inside of a team. You got to give him a shot sooner or later. You can't hold on. I know you're trying to win so bad, if that makes sense. And you're grasping for straw. And go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think we'll see Fields at all then today? Do you think they'll do some trick plays? Or if, I don't know, the first half goes poorly for Pittsburgh, do you think Tomlin will not be stubborn and will throw Fields in for the second half to see if they can get any changes? Or they're going to just roll with Russ?
I don't even want to go there. I don't put other people down to elevate myself. I don't even want to really speak this out because I don't think it's been said inside the organization. Is he on the hot seat? But would he be desperate enough if that's going left? That's a good question, Lissa. Could we see Justin? Ant?
Well, they have said that they do intend to bring him out in packages. And to me, that already opens the door. That gives a crack in the door that gives you more room to make that move without looking like you're embarrassing Russ by just not letting him play the second half of a game. But to touch on something you said earlier, you're right. It's all fun and games. And don't forget, he didn't play those first 6 games of the season, right? That was Justin Fields going 4-2. So after he comes in and you take a few hits from a guy like Kyle Van Noy, you are starting to feel the effects of that batterment. And even if it's not physical, even if you don't have something slowing you down physically, you're still mentally going to be moving things a little bit faster or with a little bit more desperation than you should. And maybe tucking the ball, holding the ball longer, or getting rid of it in ways that you shouldn't. It manifests itself different ways.
And I guarantee you, I can speak for all football players that's played on the next level. These are grown men. These are not kids. These are grown, muscular built men that's impacting. And when I was 41, that's one of the reasons I had to leave, is because I was hitting guys. I was pancaking them, but when I hit, it felt like I was being hit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's, look, Russell's not too far behind where you were at that age. So he's got to be feeling it when he's getting hit, 5, 10, 15 times a game. And part of the problem is for Pittsburgh, their offensive line isn't all that great. They've got, they had drafted the Troy Fontanu. He was their first round draft pick this year, and they had high hopes for him, and he's only played a half of one game. So he's on injured reserve. He's out for the season. And then you got Broderick Jones, who he's now in his second year. He was their first round draft pick 2 years ago. And he's a tough guy, but he's in the learning stage still. And he's usually having to face some of the nastiest, linemen in the NFL that you can face, because you always match up, the outside tackle against the outside defensive end. And that has just proven that for both Pittsburgh's tackles, they've been getting beat on the regular, which again causes Russell Wilson to have some problems. Now, I would say under normal circumstances that the advantage of that Pittsburgh O-line versus the Ravens D-line, it goes to Baltimore. But even more so with the havoc that this Kyle Van Noy has been causing over the past month. He's been on a tear. When you play the Madden game, I don't know if you play that, Crash, but when you play, you do, of course you do.
I try.
When you play the Madden game, if one of the guys gets hot, it has like this little symbol above his head of a fire, right? Like that's where Kyle Van Noy's been. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you better be game planning to move away from that. And speaking of that, not just moving away from where they need to defensively, one of the things they're going to absolutely have to do to even stay in this game is cover Mark Andrews. They've had some real problems with the last 4 tight ends that they've faced, Kelsey being one of them, who was just left in wide open space multiple times. And Mark Andrews is a guy that if you don't cover him, he'll kill you. Right.
Absolutely.
And let's say this, Crash, if you do cover him, let's say you sell out and you double cover Mark Andrews. He's that good. You can do that. Who's stopping King Henry? Yeah, the Ravens have some unbelievable weapons. And then you know what? Let's sell out. Let's sell out and let's stop King Henry and make sure that no matter what, they don't get any running game.
Hey man, listen.
How do you stop Lamar?
You guys
How do you
know
stop Lamar?
You guys know you know where I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for you to allow me to talk about my boy, right?
Yep, let's go.
You know that, right? Alabama, number 22, was 2 in college. Big boy, man. Ex-Tennessee Titan, man. Come on, I love him. Yeah. I'm an ex-Titans fan. And look, man, we all train, we work out. People fail to realize, Jerry Jones, I'm talking to you. You passed him up, man. And I knew, I said, man, listen, you guys are making a huge mistake. Why? Because I cover the boy, man. On the offseason, you see what his workout regime is? There is no offseason.
There's a reason they call him the king.
He's a dog, man.
Absolute beast.
Yep.
So it didn't shock me whenever he busted off these runs and it's taken 2 or 3. That's who he's always been. And let me say this. When you're a player and you love the game like that, like he does, and you're that committed, you know you can go. You know
Yeah.
better than anybody. He's not going to do that to the game. He's not going to do that to himself. When he's done, he's done. He wasn't done. He ain't done.
Well, after what he did this year, he doesn't look anywhere near done. 1,900 yards, 16 touchdowns. Done doesn't seem to be anywhere on his horizon. He's still dominating. That's what he is.
Dominating.
Yeah. Pittsburgh does have a
Yeah,
pretty
that was
good
one of my main
linebacker.
questions.
Go ahead.
Oh, so that was one of
Yeah.
my questions was, will they be able to stop Derrick Henry? I think
Yeah.
that's a big question.
Pittsburgh is known for stopping the run, and that's one of Mike Tomlin's specialties. And I'll tell you what, here's another X factor, right? This is the biggest X factor to the game to me. The biggest X factor really is Mike Tomlin. You know, you said maybe he is on the hot seat. Well, I'll tell you right now, with the fans, he's been on the hot seat. He's got 8 seasons now without a playoff win, and they're 0-4 in their last 4 playoff appearances. And they've been 10-7, I believe, for the last 3 of the last 4 years with first round exits from the playoffs. So the fans are not too happy about that. But at the same time, the fans are a little spoiled because Mike Tomlin is a guy with almost 20 years without a losing record. So that speaks a lot to the fact that this guy does know how to win games. And I will tell you this is the X factor. No matter what, he has a way to keep his team in games to where it seemingly always comes down to the last play. That's one thing you'll notice about Pittsburgh. If they can stay in it in the first quarter, if they're not blown out 21-3 at the first quarter, this is going to be a game that comes down to the final 2 minutes. Mike Tomlin loves that environment. He coaches that environment. He steers games into that ending scenario. And that's where he likes to be, where one of his players can step up and make a big play. So we'll see if he's able to do that today.
Well, aren't the Ravens built like that too ever since Big Ray Lewis and
They
Prime
sure
and all
are.
of them? I mean, aren't they built like that as well? It seems like when they win, but it comes down to the wire. And this is a rivalry.
Yes, it
game.
is. Yes,
Amen?
it is. Yes, it is. Who you like in it, Crash?
You guys
Start us
think
off.
they-
Who do you like? Closing
I'll
thoughts, and who
I'll
do you
let
like?
ladies go first.
I was going to ask one other quick question. Do
Yeah,
you guys
now
think
give
Zay
us your closing
Flowers
thought.
being out? Do you think Zay Flowers being out is going to cause any trouble?
You know,
for
I
the
will.
Ravens,
I
or
will
no,
say this.
because
I
they're
think
so
one of the
stacked?
Ravens. I think one of the Ravens' biggest problems over the last few years under Lamar has been dropped balls. That's why Mark Andrews is as solid as he is, because he's the one guy on the team that doesn't really drop the balls. Even Zay's dropping balls, Rashad dropping balls. They have a hard time. I don't know if it's that he throws bullets or these guys are just not the most sure-handed. I'm not sure what their problem is over there, but if they come out today and have a case of the drops, that's going to be one of those factors that leads to a end game scenario. I don't personally see any scenario where Pittsburgh walks away with this game. I don't think that that's a possibility. So it's either going to be a Raven blowout. Well, now I'm going first. I think it's either going to be a Raven blowout, Ravens by 14, or they keep the game tight and it comes down to a field goal at the end. And here's my pick, drum roll. I believe that it is going to come down to a field goal at the end. And this is where, now don't get mad at me, other Steeler fans, but this is where I think that Justin Tucker makes up for his problems this year and is able to send the Ravens onto the divisional round with his leg. Ravens by 3.
Wow. I
Going
thought you were going to
against
go the
your
opposite.
Oh, I want the Steelers to win.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that my bet might not be on the Steelers, but my head tells me if that I'm going to predict the game to other people and give them my opinion, I say Ravens by 3 with a kick by Justin Tucker at the end, breaking Mike Tomlin's heart and sending him back 0-5 in his last 5 playoff appearances.
And out the door.
I
Not
actually
from
thought you were
Pittsburgh.
going to
They'll
say.
never fire him.
I thought you were going to say that it was good. Baltimore might keep it close somehow, and then the Steelers were actually going to have a chance to kick.
Baltimore
a game-winning
has this
field
game
goal.
to lose. If they lose this game, it's because of them. Let's just put it that way. This game is Baltimore's to lose. Anyone have a different opinion?
Alyssa?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to speak from the heart and for the hope of my husband's sanity and blood pressure. Was going to go with the Steelers, but I kind of agree with what he said. I think it's Baltimore's to lose, and I think Baltimore might just come out and kind of dominate there. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the Steelers do win, but
Me too.
I think it'll be kind of hard for them to win this one.
Man, this is tough, eh? We're gonna be all in agreement. It looks like almost here, right? The thing about the Ravens, and this is all football, is can you get a lead, or if you don't get a lead and you're behind, do you have an offense to come back? Are you built that way? Right. See, the Ravens are a team you don't want to face if they're winning. But if you're winning, right, you want to face them because they're a run style team. So if the Ravens get up on Pittsburgh, which I believe they will, it's going to be all King Henry.
Yeah.
And then just dip, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you got to worry about Andrews and also the legs of help me out, guys. The quarterback for the Ravens. That's the ECT.
Lamar.
Lamar. Yeah. It's he's a dual threat, man. The RPO run game, once they get that going with and then the play action game, it just opens up everything else. Man, I'm seeing a Harbaugh together in the next round. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens. I'm going to say that it's going to be a squeaker. You took how I was thinking it's going to end. So now I got to go with 6 points. I'll say it's be 2 field goals. 6 points, well, Ravens.
I think that if they have the opportunity, Jim definitely would do everything in his power to walk off with a touchdown rather than a field goal. So he's not afraid to run up the score. He's one of those guys. So we'll see if that's able to happen. And believe me, for his record against Mike Tomlin, he'd probably be interested in doing that just to give him a little pep going into the next round if that happens. But I think we're all in agreement here. I actually think that Baltimore is the most talented team in the AFC, but they also have a propensity for blowing themselves up. So we'll see what they do today. Nice. And we'll do a game recap after it's all said and done. God bless you guys. We appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
God bless.